Welcome to the Dr. G and Kevin Lawrence Show. I'm Kevin Lawrence in studio with my dad, Dr. Gary Lawrence. We are a father and son team dedicated to helping you create your new financial future today. Dr. G and I believe wholeheartedly there is a solution to your financial situation. So as you listen, we hope you'll be entertained, educated, and encouraged. So grateful that you're right along with us today. You know, many times in life we feel beat up. We get knocked down by circumstances. We get the proverbial breath knocked out of us. And the first few times we have authentic challenges, you know, things that are really life-changing, the first time those happen, you know, we may rebound fairly well. But after a while, our failings and our setbacks, well, they take their toll. And what I find happens is that over time we back off or slow down. We tell ourselves, no, everything's fine. But we still have, you know, we convince ourselves we still have a little fight left in us. But in reality, we begin to shrink our dream. We begin to settle for less. We accept our circumstances as, well, that's just the way it is, and it's not going to change. Well, Dr. G and I are here today to encourage you that there is no need for you to settle for less. You can change your circumstances. And yes, you can dream again. See, no matter your age or your situation, you can have new goals. You can have new vision. You can get a new direction in life. And Dad, you definitely started yours and Mom's new life and direction just 9 years ago when you were at your lowest point.
Well, I was at my lowest point in my life. That's absolutely for sure. You know, your mother and I had a very successful Christian counseling ministry for 25 years, and I'd been on the radio for 20 years with the daily program, Life Mastery Counseling with Dr. Gary. Mm-hmm. And we retired when I was 59. Back in 2003. Boy, that was a long time ago. That's hard to believe. And anyway, it was 6 weeks after I retired that we finally uncovered the fact that we had already lost 65% of our retirement portfolio in the stock crash. And my representative for the company that I was investing in mutual funds with literally withheld the truth from me. And so it was a shocker, you know, because Sylvia and I did everything right, but everything went wrong. Mm. And, you know, you invest for 25 years, you plan your retirement, and it's not there. Of course, sure. Now that happened with millions of Americans nationwide because of the recession. But we lived on what we had left for the next 5 years. And when I was 64 years old, what money we had ran out. And we had no cash, no savings. Our credit was maxed out. And it was a frightening time because now I'm 64 years old. That was back in 2009. And here I am. I'm a white-haired retired professional, but I'm flat broke. It was a scary time, but that's when I was introduced to Renatus, the premier real estate investing education service in America. And I decided at the young, tender age of 64, I'm going to re-educate myself. And I got laser focused. And the rest is history. I mean, our life has literally turned around. But the neat thing about it is, not only has mine and Sylvia's life turned around financially, we have been instrumental in helping hundreds of other men and women change their course and their direction financially also.
And I'm one of them.
You are. And you know, Kevin, you talk about failing and getting knocked down and facing adversity in life. One of my favorite verses of Scripture goes like this: Yea, though a righteous man falleth, he shall yet rise 7 times. So the question is not how many times have you been knocked down, but the question to answer is how many times have you been willing to get up? And to help you and I reach out to our audience today, we have live in the studio a gentleman that I love dearly. He and I are brothers. We tell everybody we're brothers from different mothers. But anyway, Alberto Vargas, 63-year-old entrepreneur. And he was the founder and president of a fantastic company called Consumer Electronics. And he owned it and operated it for 20 years. But he just told me he's been self-employed since he was 28 years old. So entrepreneurship is not something new to him. But anyway, he heard me on the radio clear back in 2010. And so for almost 9 years now, we've been together. He's a highly respected and dearly loved member and a leader of our local Renatus community. And I just want to say, Alberto, welcome to the Dr. G and Kevin Lawrence Show.
Thank you, Dr. G, and good morning, Kevin.
Yeah, glad you're here, man. Good to have you in studio.
It's been a long time since we've interviewed you.
Yeah, it's been a little over a year, I believe.
I want to ask you this question, Berto, and I'm just curious. Here you are, you're Hispanic, you were born and raised in Mexico, and when did you come to America?
I was 12 years old when my parents decided to move to the Phoenix area.
Uh-huh. Well, what was that like for you? I'm just curious.
It was a big change. I finished elementary school over there, and since my mother was born in California, she was always had that thought in her mind that she was going to move down here with 4 of my siblings and myself. So when that move came, it was a little difficult to adapt. I knew no English.
Yeah.
So I started school with that. That was my priority, to learn English and take the classes that everybody else took. So I had an extra challenge to deal with, which actually it was pretty good, because I come to find out that I was like 3 or 4 years ahead in every other subject.
Really?
In Mexico, yeah. 4th grade algebra in Mexico, and over here 7th grade was about the same. So I was pretty far advanced in other subjects, but my English became my priority.
Was that a real barrier for you?
It never was. My teachers were very good, and I mean, they knew what they were doing. They knew what to do, and they set me on a corner with the equipment that they had at the time to learn.
So let's zoom up to 9 years ago. Okay, you're 63, so that means you were 54 years of age when you heard me on the radio. Now, I'm just curious. Here's this Hispanic gentleman that heard this hillbilly from Indiana on the radio. What were your thoughts? I mean,
be honest. When he says, what are your thoughts, Alberto? Let us know.
Well, since you brought up the voice, I could never put your face on the voice that I heard until I met you, of course. But it was pleasant. I mean, when we met after I talked to you on the phone, it took probably about a couple months before I decided to come to one of the events, the forums that you were in charge of at the time. And I met you. I was very, very impressed, with how you handled yourself, how you welcomed me, and with the community as a whole. So I continued to come until I learned more about it, and here I am.
Well, now you had a very successful consumer electronics business. What made you decide to embrace the Renatus real estate investing education system?
What made me decide is I was 55 when I first started to.
That's hard to believe, man. Time goes fast, doesn't it?
But anyway, I was listening to this station, and I listened to you talk about real estate in a local community. Prior to that, I had actually sent for tapes because I was interested in real estate for a long time. And I even did a little bit of real estate on the side from my business.
Okay.
But it was difficult. Okay, difficult because you don't have the people to guide you.
Well, I was going to say, at that time in your life, you were pretty well just a loner, weren't you? You were out there by yourself.
I was, yes.
And so you came to our Renatus event. And if I remember, I mean, that was 9 years ago. That was just probably about 6 months after I started our local team.
Right.
I think we had 12 or 15 people then.
At the time, I think so, yes.
And so I'm just curious. Here's this Hispanic gentleman, very successful with your electronics business. You come to one of our local events that we have every week right here in the Valley. We had 12 or 15 people. What was it in your mind that made you decide, I'm going to embrace this. I'm going to become part of this team?
The first thing that made me decide that it was the content that I was looking at. That was being made available, the resources available to get into a field that I was familiar with, and that I knew that it required relationships and it required education. It required some knowledge because to be successful in anything, you have to learn. You have to educate yourself. I learned that because electronics is hard. It took me a few years to get a degree in electronics and get out there and apply it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's very important. I knew that if you want to be successful at anything, you have to educate yourself, and by the same token, you have to be around the same people with the same mindset. Very important.
Yeah, it's so important who you hang out with, isn't it?
Very, very important.
Yeah,
yes.
it really is. Hey, you listen to the Dr. G and Kevin Lawrence Show, and live in our studio today is Alberto Vargas, 63-year-old entrepreneur and real estate investor, highly respected and dearly loved by our local team members. Ladies and gentlemen, Kevin and I are hosting another investor business forum this week right here in the Valley, and I want to extend to you my personal invitation to become mine and Kevin's guest at our local event this week right here in the Valley. It's Thursday night from 7 till 8:30, and we would love for you to be our guest. And to make that happen, all you're going to have to do is to call me. Now, I'm going to give you my number in a minute, but I want you to know when you call, you will get my voicemail. And for your sake, leave a message with your name and your phone number on it so I know who to call back. And all we're going to do is visit for a few minutes and get acquainted with each other and find out where you are in life and what it is that you would like to change regarding your financial future. So if you'd like to be my guest, here's my number. Write it down. You may be driving down the freeway. We'll pull over. Don't have an accident. But write down my phone number. Are you ready? Here it is. It's 602-730-5645. That's 602-730-5645. This is the Dr. G and Kevin Lawrence Show. And Kevin, you're sitting here live in the studio with Alberto.
Yes, I am.
He and I have become dear friends over the years. What do you think of this guy? I mean, you've been with us about 2.5 years now. He's been with us 9 years. Share with our audience what you think of this guy.
No, well, I was telling Alberto off air, how impressed I am with his story. So many elements, the question I have for you, and all the elements, Alberto, is your commitment and your drive and your persistency and your just steadiness to figure it out. You will find a way, and that mindset is critical. We talk a lot about mindset here on our radio show. And if people don't have the right mindset, they're not going to reach the success they want. And I've always thought you've had that mindset of whatever the challenge, whatever the obstacle, I'll just stick with it and I'll find the solution and I'll get over it and keep going,
Yeah.
But what I'm from a standpoint of you had your own business. A lot of people listening to us right now, they own their own business, or maybe a better way of saying is their business owns them.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true.
So they're the rainmakers, and if they don't show up and if they don't open the store, then they're not earning the money, right? So from your viewpoint as a small business owner, what was it about real estate that caught your attention that you said, no, I think this is going to be the long-term path?
Well, having my own business, I was self-employed for many years, and you have to understand that, like you just mentioned, you have to be there to run a business.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and 9 times out of 10, if you walk away, it doesn't run the way you expected. So time was starting to turn into 40 hours a week, 50 hours a week.
Yeah.
The busier you get, the more your time would be cut short for other purposes. Mm-hmm. And that made me think. I said, I'm not going to do this forever.
Mm-hmm.
So real estate was always in my mind. I mean, I looked at my options. And the only problem was, like I said, I tried it. I ordered some tapes.
Yeah.
How'd that turn out? Right. Well, Berto, let me ask you this. I tell folks all the time that renatus, and I want to tell our audience, renatus is a Latin term for rebirth. And when I was introduced to it, certainly Sylvia and I needed to be rebirthed financially. But I also tell people that renatus is the premier real estate investing education service in America. I mean, we are second to none. Am I exaggerating with that definition?
Not at all. Not at all. If I have to point out in a short sentence what has made me successful in the past 7 years, I would say Renatus has contributed a great deal to it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. without the resources and the relationships that I was able to build, being part of Renatos and being consistent and attending the events and participating, I wouldn't be near where I am today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you said that you had ordered material previous to finding Renatus. Mm-hmm. And, that speaks to the industry as a whole. We call it the real estate investing education industry. And it's about a $900 million a year industry with different
almost
companies.
$1 billion, right?
Yeah, and different companies out there trying to pump information and content about real estate investing. So it's a very competitive environment. And Arizona specifically is no stranger to the weekend boot camps.
Oh, yeah.
Because of all the resorts we have here, right? And they fly into town, and they just go through, and the design is to get us as the consumer to spend as much money as they can get from us to buy just enough information to make you dangerous and hope it works for you. See you later. They fly out and go to another city, right? And that's been my experience.
Well, you're right, and I'll tell you what my experience was, because I attended about 3 different boot camps back in that day. Yeah, it was a while. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I moved from my residence about 2 years ago, and I was going through my stuff. I had boxes of books and tapes I've never even opened. It was mostly hype and mostly promises that really I couldn't. I don't know if they work because I never implemented them.
Yeah.
But they weren't for me.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, their whole business model is to upsell. I know when Sylvia and I were going through our tough time financially, I attended a 3-day boot camp here in the Valley, and I paid $2,500. And Sylvia and I went on Friday, and when the first day was over, she said, "Honey, I'm not going back with you tomorrow." And I said, "Well, why not?" And she said, "Well, because this is not about real estate investing. This is all about the man that's doing the talking." And I thought about that, and she was absolutely right, because all he did was talk about how great he was in real estate investing. He didn't teach us anything about real estate investing. Well, to make a long story short, on Sunday morning, the 3rd day, the first thing they did at 9 o'clock in the morning, they started taking us out of the conference room one at a time into another room in a hotel to upsell us to a 7-day boot camp down in Florida for $35,000. I learned virtually nothing about real estate investing, okay? And it was a tough time for us financially, and I'll tell you, I stood up, and I was angry. I had a lot of emotion because that person was just trying to upsell me for what? And I'd have to fly to Florida, pay round-trip airline tickets, pay for 7 nights lodging at a hotel on top of the $35,000. And I just shook my head, oh, yeah, I could have gotten my money back if I wanted to file a lawsuit, And so it was a strenuous time in mine and Sylvia's life, and a real disappointment. The thing I love about Renatus is once you're enrolled in our education system, you have lifetime access. Would you want to speak to the value of that?
Yeah, that's incredibly great value. And talking about value, about these boot camps, okay, they were there to help me see what the value was that I was looking for, because without a comparison, you have nothing, no reference point. You know what I'm saying? So going to these boot camps and seminars, it helped me get a reference point to what I thought was valuable and what I thought was a waste of time.
Yeah. So, see, you saw the difference.
Exactly.
That's a good way to say that, yeah.
Exactly. So when I came to Renatos, I was already prepared to walk away if I saw the same model.
Yeah.
But it's because of my charming, overwhelming personality, right?
That's part of it, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Doc. So you're ready. That's an interesting way you say that, Alberto. You're ready to walk away if you see the same thing. So you already walked into the room with kind of a predisposed mindset of this is another one of those things, and if I see it, I'm out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because you learn to spot certain things that you're looking for. So when you see something that catches your eye and your attention, and there's some difference, you stick around to learn more about it, and that's exactly what I did.
Well, I'm a gringo, okay?
Oh, yeah.
And you're
like Hispanic. He needed to point that out, right?
and you're Hispanic, right? But anyway, I mean, I just think it's fantastic how that the two of us become like brothers. we become good friends. There's a level of trust and confidence in each other that you just can't manufacture. But we see that happening with our entire local team. Would you want to comment on it when I come back?
Certainly will.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the Dr. G and Kevin Lawrence Show, and special live in our studio today is Alberto Vargas. And he's just a joy to interview, and it's been such a joy to be his friend over the years. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're looking for a real change in your life financially, you can find it with Renatus. And Kevin and I are hosting another investor business forum right here in the Valley. We hold it every week, and our team has grown. We're seeing hundreds of people's lives changed financially, and we want to offer you the same opportunity. And you can be my personal guest at this business forum. There's no cost to you. And I tell everybody, leave your credit cards and your checkbooks at home. Am I right, Alberto?
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, because we're not going to sell you anything. We're just going to get acquainted. Hey, you know what? Renatus may not be for you. And we're not just letting everybody become part of our team. We're looking for men and women who sincerely want to change their financial futures. If you would like to be my guest, I'm going to give you my phone number in a minute, but I want you to know when you call, you will get our voicemail. So for your sake, leave a message with your name and phone number on it, and I will personally call you back. Are you ready to write down my number? Here it is. It's 602-730-5645. That's 602-730-5645. Berto, we only have 2.5 minutes. We'll come back tomorrow. You want to respond to what I left you thinking about before I went to the audience?
Yes. I mean, it's, my background has really no bearing on real estate. I think that the bottom line is the people that you associate with.
Right.
It makes a big difference on your progress and what you move forward with.
Well, I tell everybody, I'm 73, almost 74 years old, and I tell everybody I am so blessed. I am so fortunate to be part of a community of real estate investors that are profit-minded, proactive-minded people. I mean, we have a very positive environment, and we are all about impacting the lives of other people on a positive level. Is that what you've experienced with us?
I totally agree. In my personal life, it changed. And I'm for that reason is that I'm paying it back and I'm helping other lives change too.
Oh, that's true. I like the way you said that. Yeah. You are, because you are, Alberto. You're making a positive influence in other people's lives as well. And it's what God designed us for. In Genesis chapter 12, God told Abraham, I'm blessing you, so you'll be a blessing to others. And I think that's the same call that we have as believers, is you're blessed, Alberto, and I am, and Dr. G is. We are here to have a responsibility to bless others.
You've been listening to the Dr. G and Kevin Lawrence Show, and Alberto Vargas is our guest, live in the studio. And I've said it many, many, many times over the last 9 years. If you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. Are you enjoying your journey in life? Are you frustrated financially with the pressures that you're not able to really cope with and overcome? We can help you change your perspective on life. We can help you reposition yourself to create a financial platform that you control. But I want you to know, change, when left to chance, gives birth to more conflicts. If you don't change, things will never change. And I'll guarantee you this, the only thing that won't change is the fact that things will change. So I encourage you, stop being a circumstantial creator and become an intentional creator. Success is not a destination. It's nothing more than a journey. Are you enjoying your journey? You can succeed. All that's given to anyone is given to you. God did not shortchange you with the ability to control your financial future. Now listen carefully. Success is never final, and failure is never fatal. An investment in knowledge will pay you the best return on your investment. You are full of the power of success. Now, why do I say this with such strong conviction? Well, it's real simple. Greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. Hey, I'm Dr. G, and I want you to create success. Why not start today? hey, right now would be a good time to start.
It's been said, the best way to predict your future is to create it. No matter your circumstances, there is a solution to your situation. Dr. G and Kevin invite you to explore the possibilities of creating a new financial platform that you control and no longer allow yourself to be controlled by the circumstances of your life. Visit them at wealthempowers.com. That's WealthEmpowers.com. Come and meet Dr. G and Kevin at the Investor Business Forum. Oh, one last thought. Isn't it time for you to stop making a living and start making a life? Call Dr. G and Kevin at 602-730-5645. That's 602-730-5645.
Okay, we have live in the studio Alberto Vargas, 63-year-old entrepreneur. And actually, he's been self-employed ever since he was 28 years old. And but he had a very successful consumer electronics business for 20 years. And he heard me on the radio way back in 2010. And he was searching for an opportunity to change his financial platform because he realized as a small business owner, the business actually owned him. But I want to bring him on. Alberto, what a joy to have you in the studio today.
It's my privilege to be here, Dr. G.
So, Kevin, you want to discuss, now I want to tell our audience, you're listening to the Dr. G and Kevin Lawrence Show, and we're all about helping you come to the place where you can see the open door to the possibilities and probabilities of how you can literally change your financial future through the wonderful world of real estate investing. And we're with Renatus. Renatus is a national community of real estate investors. And Alberto, you became part of our team 9 years ago. That's hard to believe.
That is hard to believe, yes.
Now, you have invested in some of these 3-day weekend boot camps that come to the Valley and promise you all kinds of untold wealth through real estate investing. There was no substantial foundation for their background. And you heard me on the radio and you came to one of our Renatus events. What would you say was the difference that you decided to become part of our local team?
One of the key words that I've listened to you say on the radio is local community, okay, of investors. That phrase right there drew my attention. So, because I have been through that before, where you have the information, but you're on your own, okay, or you got a phone number. So that drew my attention. So I came to one of the events, and I came to another one and another one. I got
making sure that community was still there right?
I was making sure I was in the right place at the right time. I had already, I think you and I have already, had some time to talk, and
right.
And I like the way that you handled yourself. You were very respectful, very informative, and I like that because you answer all my questions.
We didn't put your arm behind your back and hold you up against the wall and say you're going to become part of our team whether you like it or not, huh?
No, you didn't.
I know it.
Now, I have a question, Alberto. How long did you listen before you called?
I listened to about 2 weeks worth.
2 weeks, okay.
2 weeks.
Oh, that's not bad. We've had some people, Dad, that have listened to our show for 5 years, 7 years, and they finally decided, well, I should probably call and see what's going on.
I know it.
Yeah.
Some people are going to wait till Jesus returns before they call. But
and they're going to miss the boat after that, that's for sure.
So, we encourage everyone, hey, if you got, they've got questions or they're curious or what's this about, to call, because people think, well, if I call, they're going to try to put the munch on me and get my wallet and try to sell me something. And nothing can be farther from the truth. And Alberto, you're testament to that, because you came to an event, but then you just kept going to more events and going to more events, yeah?
Oh, yes. The information was important. And when you get as much information as we get available in these events, you have to digest that. You have to test it. You have to look into it. You have to do your due diligence. Yeah. In my case, I've already knew what I wanted.
Okay.
I was looking. I wasn't going to wait 2 years. I was looking. Okay?
Right.
So when I thought I had found the right place where I thought I could probably move forward with my
I want to interrupt you here. You said when I saw that I found the right place, and I'm just had a flashback. That was 9 years ago. Sylvia and I had just started our local team. I think there were 12 or 15 people in the room when you came. So you were looking for the right place, but the truth is, over the years, you've helped make it the right place.
Yes, and you're right. That's been a great satisfaction to see how this team has grown. I mean, we have people in there now that are mentoring other people, which is great.
Right.
I mean, it's always what you do with what you learn that makes the difference, right? You help other people, and that's the bottom line. I mean,
well, and I just had a thought. Last year every October we have what we call a regional, and we had 456 people register for the regional last year. Okay, and we had over 200 at our awards banquet, and so our team has grown in a tremendous way, hasn't it?
Well, not only our team, but as a whole throughout the nation is growing by leaps and bounds, and that says something for that.
Right.
Okay,
now, actually, and speaking to that, Renatus is in the top 1% of the fastest growing privately held companies in the country. And this is, you can go out and Google it, and, Inc. 5000 magazine keeps track of the top 5,000 privately held companies in the country. And Renatus, the real estate investing education service, is in the top 1% of the fastest growing companies.
Yeah, and that's 2 years in a row now.
2 years in a row. And Alberto, on the local level, you are the attraction of the people that Dr. G and I are wanting to bring to the community, because you're a person of quality, person of character, and now you're part of the community, and you bring value to the community, and you're a trusted individual, respected individual. And those are the kinds of people that we're looking to, add, and people who want to move their life forward and who are proactive. And I'm just glad you're here, man.
Well, and here you were.
He's trying to talk. We keep interrupting him.
I'm sorry. Well, here you were. You're 54 years old. You've been successful as an entrepreneur in the electronics business, but you decided you're going to re-educate yourself. You found a system that works, but you had to work it. Do you remember your commitment level at that time?
Oh, I definitely do. When I made the decision to move forward, there was no looking back. Mm-hmm. I did.
And I think at that time we only had about 25 or 26 classes, and we only had, I think, 17 instructors. But now here we are. We've got 56 classes. We have 29 instructors, over 400 hours of education. There's not a system that's, I think, better, more impactful, more effective than the Renatus Real Estate Investing Education Service. We're going to come back in a minute, Alberto. You listen to the Dr. G and Kevin Lawrence Show. Alberto Vargas is our guest live in the studio. And Kevin, tell our audience about the business forum this week.
So this week, this is your personal invitation from Dr. G and myself to join us this week at our Investor Business Forum. This is the opportunity for you to meet us, an opportunity for us to meet you. Dad, that's one of the highlights of our week.
Love it.
Yeah, we enjoy meeting our listeners. So in just a minute, I'm going to give you our phone number. And when you call, please leave a voicemail. Speak slowly and clearly so we can make sure we get the right contact information. We'll get back with you. Now, here's what's important. You're not buying anything. So leave all forms of payment at home. We just want you to come get acquainted with us. We're going to get acquainted with you. And I'm going to give you the number in just a minute. We'd love to meet you this week. The number you're going to call to reserve your seat is 602-730-5645. That number again is 602-730-5645. And Dr. G and I will return your call personally. Now, if you'd like to bring a friend or a family member, trusted colleague, Dad, the more the merrier. We enjoy meeting our listeners and their extended circle of influence, and we're just wanting to reach out to make an impact in people's lives.
Exactly, Kevin. And hey, I invite you to visit our website at wealthempowers.com. That's wealth, W-E-A-L-T-H, empowers, E-M-P-O-W-E-R-S, wealthempowers.com, and get a little bit acquainted with myself. and we're making some wonderful changes. Alberto, I want to ask you this. If you can remember this far back, that was 9 years ago, but what was your most impactful class that you took? Can you recall that?
Oh, certainly. As a matter of fact, you just brought it up. 12 classes that were being taught by a English teacher, wrestling coach, that I still remember him coming to one of our Super Saturdays to train. And the creative acquisitions, like you said, I mean, that kind of opened my mind to all the possibilities, which, I mean, these instructors are teaching what's working for them. And there was information in there that I never thought about. You hear that no money, no credit, and a lot of people think, well, I don't have the money to invest in real estate. Well, there's ways that you can do it, like this instructor teaches, that you won't hear any other place, and it'll open your mind for different ways to do it. The other one was real estate red flags. It really, really made a difference when you look at real estate in a different way.
And you can almost become very, very overly critical of properties. I mean, you and I visited a property just this last Saturday afternoon, and when we stepped on the property, I saw all kinds of red flags, didn't I?
Oh, you did, but you that didn't set you back, did it?
Yeah, go ahead, be honest.
It's about assessing those red flags. What are real issues and what are things you can work around, right?
Right, and we were walking along the property, and I asked him a couple of times, you can turn back anytime you want to.
I saw pictures of that property. Wow.
Yes.
You know. But let me jump back just real quick, Alberto, because you're talking about investing in real estate with none of your own money, none of your own credit, right?
Right.
Now, that almost sounds illegal. So for our listeners that are new, they're like, what kind of show are you guys running? So talk about the legalities of that. I mean, can you actually do it from a legal standpoint?
Absolutely, yes. Well, once you learn the strategies to do it, it almost becomes too easy.
Too easy. I like that.
I love that.
Yeah.
Because once you understand the concept, you get people that actually want to invest.
Exactly.
They want to give you your money, their money, so that you can invest it and get a return. Because bottom line is, what's a better guarantee than real estate for their money?
Well, you know, Kevin, I'm just thinking of an example when I was going through my hip replacement surgeries, and then I was facing a spinal fusion, and I was down in bed and on drugs for about 7 or 8 months. Pharmaceutical drugs, not illegal drugs, okay? But anyway,
those may have been better for you. But
a deal came to me from an investor that lived in another state, and I called you and I said, Kevin, this deal's come to me. Do you think that you can find the funds to rehab this property? And you said, absolutely. And you had just finished 2 of the classes, am I right?
Yeah, I was watching our fix and flip class, and more importantly, raising private funds and how to do that. Yeah.
And so you did what then?
Well, I just reached out to a gentleman. I just met him, too. We just were connected only over just a couple months is all. And he asked me, what do you and your wife do for work? And I was telling him we're getting acquainted. And he's like, man, I've always wanted to invest in real estate, you know. So I asked him, I said, well, if I could potentially get you a double-digit return on your money, would you be interested in maybe being a lender on one of my deals? And he was like, yeah, let me know about it. So I was able to get his interest. And then, Dad, you and I secured the property. So I went to him and I said, here's the deal. Ran it out on paper, secured his investment up against real estate, and away we went.
And we secured that property as a seller financed agreement.
Sure.
We had to put no money up front.
Yeah.
We put the previous owner in first place on the title.
Right.
So she was protected. You got $67,000 private funds. We rehabbed that property, and in a 5-month cycle from start to finish, we generate $64,000 profit in that deal.
5.5 months, exactly. And that was a great profit.
Oh, yeah.
And let me make the small distinction. It may not sound big, but it is. I didn't personally raise the funds. My company did. Now, I was the person who did the work, but the funds went into my business. They didn't go to my personal pocket. And Alberto, that's what we learn, don't we, as business owners and real estate investors, how to structure it legally to make sure you're protected, your investors protected, right?
Yeah, and one of the most important things that I think we need to address is that you know how to present this to your potential investor. That
Yes.
makes the difference, because if he knows what you're talking about and you can show him.
Now, Kevin and I, we met with a gentleman about 3 months ago who has about a $500,000 401k, and he said, I would like to invest with you guys. And then he told us what percent that he was looking forward to earning off his money. And unfortunately, he didn't get our business.
I see.
Because he thinks that his money is more valuable than what the market stands. So not every private investor is going to become part of your deals. Am I right?
No, you're absolutely right. You you learn you learn how to differentiate, how to deal with that, because the bottom line is you are contributing a lot with your knowledge and your expertise.
Oh, absolutely.
That means a lot. Even though some people think that money makes all the difference, which it helps. Without the knowledge and expertise, it wouldn't work, right?
Right. Well, that deal that you and I did, Kevin, it wouldn't have happened if you didn't have the knowledge and the expertise.
Yeah, well, and I appreciate that, Dad. I do. And this is something that I've learned. And this is, again, it's the learning process. And this is the point of the classes that we have, so you can learn how to raise the private funds. What do you do with setting up your company in the right way? We have 16 hours of tax and legal content just because when the profits come into your business, see, they go into my business. They don't go into my personal pocket. And because they go into my business, then I'm able to defer my taxes, and I'm paying taxes on the money after I run my business. And it's perfectly 100% legal. Most people just don't understand it.
And it's not all about making a profit on every real estate deal. It's all about helping create safe, affordable housing for people.
Well, yeah, it's
them solve real estate issues.
It is. I mean, it's when you say it's not all about making a profit, absolutely it isn't. Because if you're out there only trying to get the most amount of money out of every single deal, well, then you're not going to be in business for very long. You want to bring solutions to the table. And you can still do it, though, and make profit. That's a great thing. It's both.
Right. And our tax and legal class teaches you how to not just make money, but to save money.
Yeah.
And you've got Marissa and Ryan.
I do.
13 years old, almost 11-year-old daughter. And they are employees of your company.
Yes, they are. And we say it this way with our Renatus education is we show you how to create wealth and then how to keep it.
Yeah, that's right.
Because you can create it, but if you spend it and you lose it to
That's
taxes and you don't handle it right and you keep a high debt load personally, you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, big time. You're listening to the Dr. G and Kevin Lawrence Show. Alberto Vargas is our special guest live in the studio today. Alberto, would you take just 15 seconds and tell our audience why they should call me and be my guest at our business forum this week?
Well, I think that people that are tired of their 9 to 5, people that have their own business but they're not where they want to be. I really believe, like me, that this would probably be the best 2 hours of their life spent, because they're going to get a lot of information to take with them.
So they're going to take a little bit of time out of making a living and learn how to make a life.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
And that's what we're all about. So this week, Kevin and I are hosting another investor business forum right here in the Valley. It's from 7 till 9 o'clock in the evening. This is not a boring business meeting. This is not multi-level marketing of pills and potions. This is all about you learning how to change your financial future. If you would like to be our personal guest, I want you to know up front, there's no cost to you. And I'll tell you right now, leave your credit cards and your checkbook at home because you're not going to buy anything. We're just going to get acquainted. We're going to do our due diligence with each other. So if you'd like to be my guest, here's the phone number to call. Get ready to write it down. And when you call, you will get our voice message. So leave a message for me with your name and phone number so I can call you back. Here's the number. It's 602-730-5645. That's 602-730-5645. Berto, you've become a highly respected and dearly loved leader of our team. I mean, you're a pillar of our local team. You're here. You've been here in the good times and the challenging times. what would you say to our audience about the value that we're going to bring to them if they come as one of our guests at the Business Forum?
The first thing that I would say is it's that you would meet people that are very, very high caliber. Okay, I went through some challenges while I was part of Renatas, and we all have those challenges. I've seen people in our teams go through that, but you're never alone. I mean, if you open up and reach out, the help is there. In many cases, you kind of withdraw from everything and everybody when you're going through challenges.
Oh, yeah.
Because sometimes you don't have anybody else to reach out to.
Right.
Being in a community like this, we call it family because we spend a lot of time together.
Yeah, you really do. And you live way out in East Mesa. I think you drive about 45 miles one way, don't you?
Yeah, I think I've already got about 200,000 in my truck.
Yeah, I know it.
Oh, that's funny.
Well, and that's just because you love the family that we're part of.
Yep. Well,
We have live in the studio with us Alberto Vargas, 63-year-old entrepreneur who, 9 years ago became part of our local team of real estate investors. He ran his own business. He was the president and founder of a company by the name of Consumer Electronics right here in the Valley. But he's been self-employed since he was 28 years old. And way back in 2010, Alberto heard me on the radio, and now he's one of the key leaders of our local team. Highly respected and dearly loved. Alberto, what a joy to have you in the studio with us.
My pleasure, Doc.
And when you first came to one of our events 9 years ago, did you really at that time, did you think that you were going to be on a lifelong journey with us?
I did not at first. Okay. I came just to get information. Okay. I wanted to see what was different about this real estate place that would tell you that you could learn with other people. I mean, that was a new concept for me because I know that relationships make a big difference, number one. Okay.
Well, and at that time, if I recall, I mean, you were successful with your company and your business, but I remember you came to mine and Sylvia's home, and you were in my house 5 minutes, and you solved a problem that I thought was going to cost me several $1,000s, and you gave me direction and insight as to exactly what to do, and you solved my problem. I got a brand new electronic setup, television, big screen TV, and everything at no cost that I didn't even know was available to me, that I didn't have the knowledge I needed. And when I saw that, I thought, wow, he's a problem solver. And that's what we're all about at Renatas, helping people solve problems.
Yeah, you're correct. And just recently, I want to bring a case in point since you brought that up. One of my last real estate deals was solving somebody's problem. He was about to lose his house, 5 days away from auction.
Wow.
And he had no hope. I mean, this gentleman was in that house for 23 years, raised his family there. And through an accident, through no fault of his own, got in an accident, motorcycle accident, and was not able to keep up with the payments for the mortgage. The company started foreclosure on him. He couldn't bring that up to current to be able to get out of it because he wasn't all there. He had an accident, and a motorcycle accident. So he felt no hope at all. He reached out to one of his friends, which was a friend of mine also, and just told him his situation, what he was expecting. And this friend of his, mutual friend, called me because he knew that's what I did. I was in real estate, and the great thing about it that if you share with people what you do, sooner or later they're going to come looking for you.
Right.
So having said that, I did meet with the gentleman. We were able to help him get out of his situation. We kept his home from going to auction, which was going to ruin his credit.
Yeah.
And we were able to give him some cash so he could restart somewhere else with what he needed to do. His other option was to just lose his house. He was going to be locked out of his house in 5 days. If nothing happened.
Yeah.
because of the knowledge, because of the resources, and because of the people that I know in the industry, which is people in title companies that you relationship. We were able to close on this deal in 2 days, which is
wow. 2 days
pretty
and
fast.
stop that auction.
Stop the auction.
You know, Kevin, as I'm sitting here listening to Berto, there's just a spirit of joy about this man. You enjoy helping people solve their issues, don't you?
Definitely, I really do. This is the best satisfaction I get.
Well, now you and I just did a deal. About 3-4 months ago, out in East Mesa, and we were able to take ownership of a double-wide manufactured home in a 55-plus community. And people say, "Well, is that a good place to invest?" Whenever you're helping people solve their housing issues, it's a good place to invest, isn't it?
It definitely is.
And we were able to take ownership of that property. We rehabbed it, and I think in 10 weeks we were able to place that property in the ownership of another couple that just was moving in from out of state. But at the same time, we made a handsome profit on it in a 10-week cycle. That was a lot of fun, wasn't it?
It was a lot of fun. What makes it a lot of fun is that you get to the point where you do it and you know what you're doing because you've been doing it. You've been learning about it.
Right.
You run into challenges, but you know how to solve them.
Right.
Well, people working every day, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, fighting the traffic, sitting in the cubicle, doing all of that, they deal with challenges every day. You know, they got to deal with unfriendly workmates. You got to deal with grumpy bosses and manage traffic. I mean, they're dealing with challenges. So when you step into the real estate investing industry, you still deal with challenges. We just do it on a different scale. We do it in a different way. And like you said, Alberto, the outcome of being able to help other people is much more rewarding because that situation you talked about with going to foreclosure, that gentleman is 5 days from foreclosure. This has been hanging on his neck for 6+ months prior to you meeting with him.
Oh, yes.
And there's a guy waking up every day sweating, going, what am I going to do with my house? This was not new information to him, right? Because we understand that foreclosure process.
Right.
He'd been dealing with this emotionally and mentally for much longer than just 5 days.
Yeah. And, oddly enough, this gentleman, when I sat and talked to him, he had lost all hope. He was ready to just didn't know what to do. And one thing he shared with me is I was praying for you to show up.
Yeah, wow.
Wow, isn't that something?
They tell you that something had to come true there, and that just makes me feel great. I mean, it's
God answers our prayers through other people.
When we come back, Berto, I want you to answer this question for the sake of our audience because you said this guy was praying for you to show up. He didn't know it was you.
He did not know it was me at all.
But how important is a personal belief system and your own personal values when it comes to becoming a successful real estate investor? We're talking about personal values. Hey, this is the Dr. G and Kevin Lawrence Show. Our special guest live in the studio is Berto Vargas. Well, he's Alberto, but we call him Berto because he's part of our family. Ladies and gentlemen, Kevin and I are hosting another exciting investor business forum this week right here in the Valley. It's from 7 until 9 o'clock this Thursday evening. And it's not a boring business meeting. It's an exciting event. And you're going to learn about the opportunities and possibilities of how you can create a new financial platform that you control. And so we want you to call us. We're giving you an invitation to be our personal guest. There's no cost to you. And I tell everybody, leave your credit cards and checkbooks at home. You're not going to buy anything. We're just going to get acquainted. We're going to start doing our due diligence with each other because I'll tell you right now, not everybody who calls me on the radio ever becomes part of our team. And you know why? They're not ready. They're not really in the frame of mind that they want to make themselves a priority and take ownership of their own life. But maybe you do. Well, I want to meet with you. So I'm going to give you my phone number, and you can call me, and we will arrange it for you to be our personal guest. Are you ready to write down our phone number? Here it is. It's 602-730-5645. That's 602-730-5645. Alberto Vargas is live in the studio, has been part of our team for 9 years. Now, Alberto, I want to go back to the question I asked you. How important is a personal belief system, and how important are personal values when it comes to coupling that with the real estate investing education service that we offer?
Your values are an essential part of this business because you deal with people on a daily basis, and it's very important that you come across as somebody that they can trust. Okay, and in order to do that, you got to get to know the people a little bit. You got to let them get to know you. Okay, and the value that you can offer somebody, it could be invaluable because they're in a stage where they need somebody. Okay. This gentleman that I just mentioned, he's a Christian. He was praying. He was trusting God for an answer. And at the last minute, it showed up.
Yeah.
It showed up. I mean, God works like that.
Well, I remember, Kevin, back when your mother and I were facing losing our house that we lived in for 18 years to auction. That was back in 2009. Actually, it was 2008, the last part of 2008. We were asking God to give us a solution. Lord, you know what we need. And that's when we met Bill Predabon. And he was part of the early stages of Renatus. And he sat with your mother and I and helped us work out a plan where we could do a short sale on our house. But, excuse me. But what happened is 2 weeks before the short sale was going to go through, because we did have a buyer, the bank that held our mortgage filed bankruptcy.
Yeah.
So that just killed everything. So, but it's a real joy to help other people solve their issues, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And Alberto, talking about solving issues, we're reaching out, Dr. G and I, to people in the Christian community, well, anyone actually, Christian or non, to say, hey, you could create a new financial future. And the Renatus Education Service is an answer to prayer to a lot of people.
Right,
definitely.
But Alberto, what would you say is your experience with why people refuse to get involved or keep themselves from moving forward in their life, or they look at this and go, yeah, that's for you guys, but it's not for me, or is it real? What would you say to someone who's having those thoughts?
Well, the reality, Kevin, is that fear plays a big role in that, on everybody. I went through that myself, okay? And it's just the fear of being in a place where you're not familiar with, being with people that you don't know. I mean, people are afraid to be taken advantage of.
Sure.
That's a big issue out there right now. So,
well, that's always been a big issue.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter if it's the Hispanic community or what culture. That's a human issue, isn't it?
It is, definitely is. My experience is I'm very involved with the community in my area, with the Hispanic. We get together, we talk. We have like a chamber of commerce that we call it, Hispanic. And the biggest issue out there is that a lot of them feel like they don't fit in certain places. But the only reason they say that because they haven't tried it.
Right.
I like to invite people to try it because that nothing could be further from the truth. I'm a good example of that. Okay, and I will invite people to call you, and I'm there available to talk to anybody.
Well, you just enrolled two young brothers, Gabe and Israel.
Oh, yes.
Tell our audience about what they're just doing right now.
Yeah, Gabriel and Israel, 22 years and 27-year-old brothers.
Right.
For the last couple of years, they've been wanting to get involved in real estate. They've been going to seminars. They've been paying a little bit and kind of holding back because they weren't finding what they were looking for.
They weren't getting the answers.
And these kids are raised by parents that are very... how can I say it? Conservative.
Okay.
Very conservative. Okay. They don't just trust anybody.
Right.
They work really hard and they take care of their family and they take care of their money.
Right.
So my experience with them has been that when I met Gabriel, which is the youngest,
right.
Okay, I was doing a fix and flip in his neighborhood. And he watched me, and he watched me, and he watched me. He never came to me and talked to me, but he watched the progress of that real estate deal that I was doing from start to finish. And about a couple of months after the house sold, he came and knocked on my door. He looked me up through county website, with an address. I mean, he never came to talk to me personally. He never.
Isn't that
stopped.
something?
But when he saw the result, he saw what the house ended up looking like. And
Gorgeous
selling
little property.
he said, I want to do this. This is where I want to be. And he had already been looking for that before, but that closed his deal. He made that decision. This is what I want to do. This is where I want to be. I want to learn from this guy.
Right.
So he knocked on my door and I said, what would it take for you to mentor me?
Uh-huh.
And he had no clue that I was in a community of investors.
Right. Yeah.
He just wanted me to teach him.
Yeah.
And I looked at him and said, well, that's very simple. What are you doing Thursday night?
Yeah. There you go. Hey, I got a business forum this week. Come join us. Yeah. And the best thing that you did was say, I'm not going to mentor you. The best thing you did was say, hey, let me introduce you to an entire community with an education base, with coaches that's going to broaden your mindset, going to give you more education than just following me around.
Yeah. And the bottom line, I told him, you want to learn what I know? He said, yeah.
Then do what I did, which was get plugged in.
Exactly.
And that's a testament to your character, Alberto, because so often we as people get caught up in our egos and we want to feel important, but really to be humble enough to say, hey, I'm only going to teach you a little bit. You're really not going to learn from me. Let me introduce you to men and women who are way more successful than I am in these disciplines, buying and holding and raising private funds and, commercial and multifamily. They're already doing this. So learn from them, but I'll support you through your learning.
Oh, yes. No, well, Gabriel Chavez and Israel Chavez are now about to finish their first deal.
Yeah.
3 months after they enroll in the education, I mean, they are already moving forward.
Yes.
And that is so exciting. You're having such a positive impact on these young men. And we just did a property tour out there this last Saturday. I won't go into the numbers, but I think they're going to generate about a $40,000 profit.
$40,000 profit on their first deal.
On their first deal.
That's fantastic.
Yes, it is.
That is so exciting.
If it was only $20,000 in their first deal, that would be great.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're besides themselves. They're out there looking for deals every single day.
Yep.
I know it. And they're going to make it happen.
Yeah. Just to mention, though, they do have a full-time job. I mean.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
and we tell everybody, don't give up your day job.
Right.
And I remember, Kevin, when you got enrolled, that was 2 years ago, last January, I said, Kevin, it's going to take you 60 to 90 days just to get focused.
Yeah.
Did I exaggerate?
Oh, not at all. And, I transitioned. It took me about a year to transition out of my insurance business to move into this full time. But the bottom line is I took a step, and Alberto, you took the step, and your two young men you're working with, they took the step, and that's what's important.
And the bottom line is, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with your first step.
Carrie, the question of the day, friends, do you carry a positive expectation in your daily life? In other words, as you go through your day-to-day, to allow your heart and mind to fall on lack, loss, and limitations of your life? Or do you focus on what you don't have or what you used to have or the things holding you back? So God has given you and me permission to have a positive, expectant attitude. In Psalm 5, verse 3, we read, "In the morning, Lord, you hear my voice. In the morning, I lay my request before you and wait expectantly." See, God wants us to be expectant and to see his hand move in your life and mine. God wants us to leave behind the pain and the misery of the past and look to the future with joyful expectation, as we base our faith squarely on him. And Dad, the key element to sabotage on any level of success is to be negatively focused on the future.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So many people live in fear of the future.
Yes.
And, of course, I remind people all the time that the word fear is nothing more than an acronym for false expectations appearing real. And when you worry about the future, that does not give you the capacity to put your mind on solving the situations that you're living with right now. Mm-hmm. Okay? And if you live in the future and worry about the future, I call that futuristic failure, because you're so focused on what could happen, what may happen, what you would want to happen, instead of being in the present where you're going to create what you really want to create. And I say it like this: the best way to predict the future is to create it.
Sure.
I know when your mother and I were going through our hard time back in 2009, losing our house and filing bankruptcy, and I was 64 years old, I got caught up in a 5-year valley of inertia where I didn't move forward, I didn't move backward. I was literally paralyzed emotionally. I'd lost everything. And here I was the guy who for 25 years had counseled other men and women how to solve their relationship issues. Your mother and I were not having relationship issues. We were having financial issues.
Right.
As most people listening to us today are having.
Yes.
And hey, it looks like the economy's up, but you know what? People are still losing their homes. People are still losing their jobs. I mean, look at Toys R Us. What? Nationwide, 35,000 people just lost their job in the last couple of months. I mean, it's in the newspaper. It's on TV every day. People are losing their financial security. And I just saw yesterday on TV that 66% of all Americans say they are stressed out when it comes time to pay the bills because they don't have the money to pay the bills. And so it's a challenging time. Life is challenging.
That's why you and I are here to encourage people that they
Exactly.
can have that expectant hope. They can have a positive expectation for their future because it's something that we're going to show them they can control.
And to help you and I help our audience understand that that is a reality, we have live in the studio a very special guest, Alberto Vargas, who is a 63-year-old entrepreneur. Has been very successful, has never worked for anybody, been a self-employed entrepreneur since he was 28 years of age. But 9 years ago, Alberto became part of our local team of Renatus Real Estate Investors. And Alberto, what do you have to say to our audience about those who are facing financial conflicts? They're frustrated where they are in their job. They don't see any hope for the future. How would we start this interview out with you?
I would say that, frustration is just a way of not knowing where to go next.
Right.
Okay. I mean, it's a way of being out of options a lot of times. But the great thing I like about this radio show and what we do at Renatus is we invite people to see other options that are available that they may not know nothing about. Okay. People that are rich with a message sometimes it's hard to understand because they don't know the messenger. Well, come meet the messenger. That's all I can say because that will make a great difference.
Well, 9 years ago, you were listening to me on the radio. So
right.
I was the messenger that God used at that time in your life.
At the right time.
At the right time. Yeah.
And basically what I made the decision is that I'm going to go see what this is about. And I spoke to you on the phone, I believe, about 4 times.
Really?
You were really, really direct to the point. You told me, and I'm never going to forget this, when I finally made a commitment to show up to one of these forums, that after we talked for a while, and I said, okay, I'm coming, sign me up. And you said, I'm going to register you, but says the only reason that I'm going to accept from you from not showing up is a trip to the morgue. To the hospital.
Yeah.
So, I don't want to hear any other excuses that you don't show up. And that's true. I mean, you make
Now, did that offend you?
Not at all. I thought that was funny. And the reason I say that is because you said something that at that time made a lot of sense. I was committed to what I was doing, and I was dealing with, I had employees, I had people working for me.
Sure.
Commitment made a big difference to me. So for that same reason, I know what you were talking about.
Yeah. So I said, if I register you as my personal guest, there's only 2 excuses I accept. Number 1's a trip to the hospital, and number 2 is a trip to the graveyard.
Exactly, and I'll never forget that.
I hope you never make either one of those journeys.
I hope so too, but I'm here.
You're here. Well, and you're here 9 years later. But here's the key of it. When you got plugged into the community, Alberto, you got plugged into the education, like you said earlier this week so many times, there's hope. and you found the opportunity, you saw this, you went, okay, I can do this, and your desires for real estate investing can become a reality. Because you'd already been dabbling in it when you found Renatus. And a lot of people do this. A lot of people, they dabble in real estate, they flip a house, or maybe they have one rental they're holding on to, but they really want to accelerate what they're already doing. And you were in that place, right?
I was in a position that I wanted to know more about it. Mm-hmm. And I did not have the options at that time to ask anybody about if I had a question. I had to pay a lawyer. Mm-hmm. If it was a legal question about real estate, or just we didn't have Google, I don't think. Yeah. So it was hard. But so that drew my attention.
I want to tell our audience why they're even listening to the Dr. G and Kevin Lawrence show. We are on the air Monday through Friday for one simple reason, and that's to reach out to you, to give you hope, to open up a door of the possibilities and probabilities of how you can create a financial platform that you control. I sing that song almost every day, Monday through Friday. I just sing different verses of that song. But it's all about helping people realize they have within themselves the power to create what they choose to create. And the bottom line is that repetition is the greatest teacher, or it's the greatest torture. And I hope for your sake, dear listener, that repetition becomes the greatest teacher. And Kevin and I are on the radio to help teach you, help you realize you can change the future for yourself. Just like Alberto Vargas, who's our guest, been with us 9 years now. Let's talk about Bob Snyder, the CEO and founder of Renatus. And by the way, what is Renatus? Well, listener, Renatus is the premier real estate investing education service in America. And we have, 29 practicing real estate investors that are our instructors. What does that mean? That means they teach us what they do themselves. We don't have some college professor standing up behind a podium teaching theory, teaching us how to do things they themselves haven't been able to do. We have over 56 classes, 400 hours of learning. We have lifetime access to our educational system. Alberto, you mentioned that you, when you had a question, you had to go pay an attorney. Do you have to do that today?
Not anymore. Yeah. Everything is accessible.
But why? Why don't you have to do that anymore?
Let's come back to that question. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the Dr. G and Kevin Lawrence show, and we are hosting another investor business forum this week right in the Valley. Kevin, tell them about it.
Yeah, so again, friends, this is our invitation to you as our listener. Dr. G and I are opening up our doors to have you be our guest, our business forum this week. It's a highlight of our week, Dad. We get to meet our listeners. Right. They get to meet us. They get to see how good looking we are and put a face to these voices. And I'm going to give you our telephone number in just a minute. You're going to call and leave a message. Please do not text, but call. Leave a message with your name and your phone number. We'll get back to you as soon as can. Either Dr. G or I will return your call personally, talk with you, and help you get your seat set aside. The number you're going to call is 602-730-5645. The number again is 602-730-5645. And please remember, leave all forms of payment at home. You're not buying anything. You're just coming to get acquainted with us. Hey, we need to get acquainted with you because, Dad, like we've said before, Renatus definitely benefits everyone, but not everyone is for Renatus. We're looking for people who are proactive. They want to change their life. They want a new direction and are willing to be teachable and coachable. Friends, if that's you, we definitely want to meet with you. We want to work with you and help you realize your financial dreams and goals.
And did you give the phone number?
I did twice.
Yes, I wasn't listening.
All right, I'll give it a third time, though. All right. The number is 602-730-5645. So 3 times I gave the number.
All right, good.
Yeah.
So, Alberto, do you have a response to the question?
Yeah, the question was, do I have to call a lawyer now, and why not? That's a very good question, and basically what it is we have all that information at our fingertips, number one. Mm-hmm. Number two, we have a community of very knowledgeable people that will help you understand if you don't understand something. Mm-hmm. and we have all the resources that are pertaining to real estate at our fingertips. This Renato's company makes all that available to us because the bottom line, they want us to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Berto, when I talk to people and I get acquainted with their situation, I make two responses to them. You can call this a commitment, you can call it a promise, you can call it what you want to. And the first one is I say this: if you do what I did, now I was 64 years old when I got started, and I got laser focused. I mean, I got into that education. And in my first 14 months, I generated just under $200,000 in profits for myself and my investor partners. That wasn't all mine. But I was coming out of bankruptcy, and so I had some real challenges. But anyway, I make this commitment. If you get 100% focused and make this a priority in your life, in 18 to 24 months, you'll never have another financial need. Am I exaggerating with that commitment?
Oh, not at all.
Why?
Not at all. Because it's a tried and true fact. I mean,
Right.
I just I'm one of those people that actually
Right.
follow your advice.
Uh-huh.
You gave me books to read. Okay, you mentored me through this whole process because you cared.
Mm-hmm.
That's the bottom line. That's what's keeping me around here, wanting to help other people. That's why I'm helping Israel and Gabriel Chavez, and they're being successful as we speak. And I'm standing right beside them to make sure that they learn the right way.
Mm-hmm. That must be a real joy to know that you're helping those two young men create a financial platform they control.
You know what? And their excitement just
I know it.
revives me. It just energizes me.
Right.
I don't know. It's. I mean, if I would have gotten into this when I was their age, I can't even think of the no limits.
Yeah, I know it. Well, and then the second commitment I make to everybody, and I think I made this to you. I said, Alberto, there's one commitment I'm going to make to you. I'm going to be with Renatus until you attend my funeral. What did that mean to you at that time?
At first I thought it was odd and it was a joke because I didn't understand what that meant. But the true meaning it is that you're not going anywhere. I can always count on you.
Yeah.
No matter where you're at. Right?
Yeah. And now, of course, we have our business event on Thursday night. So every once in a while I'll tell folks, I'm going to be with you until you attend my funeral. And they'll say, just don't die on Thursday.
Yes.
So, Kevin?
Well, you can die on a Thursday, just don't have your memorial service on
Thursday, right. Well, I won't have anything to say about that.
Well, and Alberto, you talked about the importance that Renatus is structured that we succeed as a student. And I just heard it recently said, and I really liked it, that Renatus is about you, not the guru. The guru is the guy or the female that comes into town, the guy or the gal that comes in and goes, hey, I know all this information, buy my stuff, see you later. And it's all designed for them, puts them in the center, makes them the focus. Renatus is student focused. It's about the investor. It's about the person learning.
Right.
What can they do to bring more value to empower you to be successful? One of those tools that we don't talk much about on the radio, but in addition to the education, is there's over 250 real estate and legal forms that people have access to as investors and as students. So when they say, hey, where can I find this form or where can I find that? It's in that education.
Right.
How powerful is that, Alberto?
It's very, because the full package is there.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't believe there's anything missing, okay? And I believe that Bob Snyder, he put the student first before
Yes.
him. And that's what has made him very successful. It's very important for him to make sure that what he's providing works.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And over the years, it has improved out tremendously, resources after resources after resources. And with that high level of integrity that you see coming from the top, you can't help but want to stick around and do the same.
Yeah, absolutely. And Bob Snyder is, he and his team, he's assembled a team around him that have been able to continue to find ways to bring more value to the communities.
Oh, yeah.
Dad, we're nationwide. We have live communities in over 20, 25 cities in the country. And that just shows the integrity of our founder and CEO, Bob Snyder, that his heart is how do we get more students successful?
How do we bring more value to them? Yeah, Kevin, when we had New Life Dynamics Christian Counseling Ministry, I had all the tools in the Word of God and all the knowledge from the Word of God to help men and women gain their mental and emotional and spiritual freedom. But I did not have the vehicle to help people gain their financial freedom.
Right.
And financial stress causes a lot of mental and emotional stress. As a matter of fact, financial stress is attributed to approximately 62% of the divorce rate in this country.
Yes.
Because when men and women have financial stress, one of two things happens. It either brings them together or it tears them apart. But 62% of the time it tears them apart.
Yes.
And, that you don't have to live under financial duress. There is a way that you can create a new financial platform. And Berto, we've only got about 5 minutes left in our whole interview today. I want to give you a minute to speak from your heart to the heart of our audience about what they could do or should do regarding their thought process of changing their situation.
Well, I really believe that the challenge is really, what do I do next? I mean, you have the information. Right. I had the information. I was listening to you. I saw something that they had potential to what I was looking for, and I took action.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I could have sat back and said, I'm going to wait and see some more and hear some more, and never showed up. Never really looked into it.
Right.
I had nothing to lose. I just had a couple of hours of my time. I'll go sit there and maybe they got sandwiches. I don't know. Maybe that was my thought process. You didn't have any sandwiches, but you had a lot of information.
Yeah.
Too much.
Yeah.
Okay. But the bottom line is, it's things like you said. Things are not going to change until you make the decision to change your life. And I really want to encourage people. I mean, I'm a living example. I've never thought I'd be in the position that I am today to help people the way I help them. Never.
Now, you went through a dark time, I think it was about 3 years ago when you lost your wife.
That's right.
And it kind of knocked you off course. And of course, that's a tragedy. That's a heartbreaking situation to go through. Sylvia and I have been married almost 52 years now. I can't imagine the pain, the heartache that you went through. How did our local community play a role in you staying focused?
It made a difference in the fact that you go through these periods where you just lost. Okay, I mean, you don't think that there's a better way out of your situation, so you just kind of sit around and a pity kind of thing.
Yeah.
But one thing that I remember during this time is I've always had a call from you, number one, to check on me, how's things going.
Yeah.
Never did you mention anything, when are you going to come? You got to start coming to your meetings and start learning.
We just don't put pressure on people.
No pressure at all.
Yeah.
No pressure at all. And that meant a lot to me because you were reaching out truly to find out where I was and what you could do. Yeah. And our community is like that. I've had people reach out to me that I met recently, and because they learned that we are genuinely interested in everybody else's well-being. Once we become part of Renato's, we're like a family, like you said. I mean, it's that important.
Mm-hmm. You're listening to the Dr. G and Kevin Lawrence Show, and the voice you just heard is that of Alberto Vargas, our special guest live in the studio. Ladies and gentlemen, I say it all the time, if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. Do you know what you want to create in your financial future? Well, I want to invite you to find out the possibilities of what you can create. Here's an offer. I'm extending to you an opportunity to be my personal guest at our business forum that we're hosting this week, this Thursday, right here in the Valley. It's from 7 till 9 o'clock. There's no cost to you. You're my personal guest. All you have to do is call me so we can get acquainted. And by the way, when I'm going to give you my phone number and you do call, you will get a voicemail. So for your sake, leave a message with your name and phone number so I can get back to you. Here's the phone number. I want you to write it down. It's 602-730-5645. That's 602-730-5645. Or, hey, go to our website. Get acquainted with us. Here's the website. It's Wealth Empowers. Wealth, W-E-A-L-T-H, empowers, E-M-P-O-W-E-R-S, wealthempowers.com. Kevin, before we go, we got less than 2 minutes. Do you have anything to say to our audience?
Yeah, I just want to let our audience know how grateful I am that Alberto has been in studio with us this week.
Thank you.
Yeah. And, Alberto, over the last few years, as you and I have become acquainted, my respect for you just has continued to grow, and your success and the way you go about your business is very inspiring, and it's a good model to follow. You're very consistent. You measure things on your deals. You look at the numbers the right way, and I would say that anyone who gets to know you, you're a good person to follow as far as how do I invest in the best way possible. So I just appreciate getting to know you, and glad we're friends.
Thank you. Likewise.
Yeah, it's been good.
Well,
to have
I
you.
gotta say this: being a good friend of Alberto has been a blessing to me because his patient spirit is rubbing off on me.
Well, you need to rub a little harder on that, right? No, just kidding.
My middle name is Patience.
Yeah, Gary Patience Lawrence.
Right.
But Alberto is a good influence on you, Dad. He's a good influence on all of us in the entire community. Absolutely.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, the capacity to learn is a gift. The ability to learn is a skill. But the willingness to learn is a choice. I encourage you, give us a call. Come and attend our business forum. Once again, our phone number is 602-315-0844. Is it time for you to make a change? Well, change when left to chance gives birth to conflict. And if you don't change, things will never change. And I'll guarantee you this, the only thing that won't change is the fact that things are going to change. So the bottom line is either you make the change or the change is going to make you. How are you going to make the change? Well, it's real simple. Stop being a circumstantial creator and become an intentional creator. Begin to live your life on purpose. Success is not a destination, it's a journey. Are you enjoying the journey? All that's given to anyone is given to you. Now listen carefully. Success is never final, but failure is never fatal. An investment in knowledge will pay you the best return on your investment. You're full of the power of success. Now, why do I say this? Well, it's real simple. Greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. I'm Dr. G, and I want you to create success. Why not start today? Hey, right now would be a good time. God bless.
It's been said, the best way to predict your future is to create it. No matter your circumstances, there is a solution to your situation. Dr. G and Kevin invite you to explore the possibilities of creating a new financial platform that you control and no longer allow yourself to be controlled by the circumstances of your life. Visit them at wealthempowers.com. That's WEALTHEMPOWERS.com. Come and meet Dr. G and Kevin at the Investor Business Forum. Oh, one last thought. Isn't it time for you to stop making a living and start making a life? Call Dr. G and Kevin at 602-730-5645. That's 602-730-5645.